This is episode 341 of the Super League Pod, and this week the Wire fans show the coach how to respond to an embarrassing collapse without bogus excuses in your fan match reviews. We get a spin on the EFC rumour mill, and we find out that overconfidence is still alive and well in Castleford. Plus, round one of the Women's Super League and millions of Wheelchair Challenge Cup scores as we bring you up to speed on the last week in Rugby League. Get strapped in, it's SLP time. Hello listeners, welcome along to episode 341 of the Super League Pod. You have with you this week myself, Mark, and I'm joined by Alan. How are you doing, Al?
Very well, thank you. Hello everybody. Hope everyone is well.
Do you want to start by telling us about our sponsor?
Yes, so Super League Pod is supported by Rob's Megastore. Rob's Megastore stocks a wide variety of toys, stationery, arts and craft ideas, pet accessories, books, and of course Rugby League birthday cards. Search for Rob's Megastore on eBay, or you can find the link in the episode blog post at superleaguepod.com. SLP listeners can use the code SLP10, that's SLP10 at checkout, and they get 10% off any orders over £5. Or if you enter SLP discount, you can give your 10% towards funding SLP's running costs instead.
So what we've got coming up to on this week's show, we'll start in a minute with the sad news of Rugby League revolutionary Maurice Lindsay passing away. We'll get to that pretty soon. Then after that, we'll recap round 12 of Super League with your fan reviews. We've also had what I can only describe as an EFC news dump late on in the fan views. When I got home from work today, I went onto the forum and they were all there. So we'll be piecing together all the rumours he wants us to talk about. I always say it's better to wait until they're actual stories, but EFC doesn't have the same kind of patience. He wants us to talk about them whilst they're still rumours. We've also got a lot more wheelchair rugby league to cover in other results than usual. That's due to the pool stages and the semi-finals all taking place in the Wheelchair Challenge Cup at the weekend and in the Challenge Trophy as well, so loads of wheelchair stuff to get to, and then I guess we'll make our guesses for round 13 and get out of here with a quiz. One little piece of feedback from last week's show, Alan, do you want to take us through before we get on to the Maurice Lindsay news?
Yep, so Callum Percy got in touch when we were talking about the young ref of the Women's Cup final that we recognised but couldn't put a name to. And Callum says, Liam Rush is 22. He's one of my mates from Murfield. To be fair, he did look about 22.
That's really young though, isn't it, to be refereeing a big game? So obviously they think highly of him at the RFL. Hopefully his career will continue to progress to the point where he's hated by everyone, and that's when you know you've made it as a referee.
Absolutely, that's unfortunately the career trajectory. People like you for a bit, think, oh, he's good or she's good, they've got potential, and then everyone hates you. So yeah.
And Rugby League woke up to the sad news this morning that former RFL Chief Executive Maurice Lindsay, who also masterminded Wigan's revival in the 1980s as chairman, died at the age of 81. He passed away at home yesterday as we're recording, I think. The businessman, also a former chairman of Football Club Preston North End, was heavily involved in the creation of Super League in 1996. Lindsay also had a stint as team manager of the Great Britain Rugby League team in the early 90s. As chief executive of the new European Super League in the mid-1990s, Lindsay steered Northern Hemisphere Rugby League into a new era. He worked with the power brokers of Australia's breakaway Super League and the financial muscle of Rupert Murdoch's Sky broadcasting empire to deliver a game-changing switch to summer rugby. This is all the BBC's write-up. However, Lindsay's legacy can perhaps be keenest felt in Wigan. The BBC said after he joined the board in 1980, the club went on to win everything from multiple Challenge Cups and league titles to the World Club Challenge and even the World Sevens.
It's quite a resume the guy had, in terms of career in administration of the game. I think he, particularly when in his time at Wigan, he was a slightly divisive figure potentially. Yeah. You would say.
I think in his time at the RFL as well. To be fair to that period as well.
Yeah, maybe. But I guess people who want to make changes, that they're often not seen as being particularly popular for kind of shaking up the status quo. And I don't think Maurice Lindsay was ever scared to do that. So yeah, obviously it's incredibly sad for his family and everything. And he's one of those kind of he's a figure that when you write about the history of kind of rugby league in the 80s and 90s, he's somebody you've got to talk about, isn't he?
Yeah, really his sort of career and influence over rugby league only lasted less than 30 years. From joining the Wigan board in 1980 as part of the Gang of Four that got Wigan back up from one of the lowest ever moments, the first time they were ever relegated, to being the all-conquering team, the first professional outfit that we saw, signing the likes of Ellery Hanley, world record deals for Hanley, for a Fire later on in his time at Wigan before he went off to start working for the RFL and for Great Britain and stuff like that, and then came back to Wigan, didn't he, after his spell leading the game. He's had a lasting impact in so many ways, and I think not always popular.
No.
People will remember him for things like the concept of mergers, but then again, all those clubs that didn't eventually merge were probably saved by the money that he helped bring into the game during that period of time in the sort of mid to late 1990s. Absolute giant name in the game, and he had a huge influence on things. It's you can't understate his legacy, particularly at Wigan, but also in rugby league, not just in this country. But I remember the chat I had with Steve Mascott about his new book. He mentioned Maurice Lindsay was in there quite a few times. Wigan released today a video that was been filmed recently as part of the 150th year, 150 years of rugby league in Wigan celebrations. That they released that video today because why not? Really, with the timing of this, you watch that and you see like the memories he has of that time and all of that stuff. It's it's quite emotional stuff, really. Yeah, I think even 81, and he has had some health challenges for a while, but I think his death was still a little bit of a shock, a little bit of a surprise when it came. So yeah, really sad news. Alan Walker's got in touch. He said, Lindsay is arguably the biggest reason for what English rugby league is today, the good, the bad and the ugly. He pushed through changes on a very conservative game. His passing shouldn't be a block on changing the league's name, ditching the Super, and Maurice Lindsay of today would ditch it in a shot. Yeah, interesting aside there, but certainly that point, about he pushed through changes on what had been a conservative might be the wrong word, I guess. Something that wasn't looking to hit any higher levels. That wasn't at Wigan. He changed the mentality of the club, and at the rugby league, he changed the mentality of the sport. And it's amazing that he kind of built that all-conquering Wigan side, and then created a Super League that almost dismantled that all-conquering Wigan side to the favour of big rival clubs like St Helens and then Bradford for a period, and obviously Leeds with the success that they were then able to have with the changes that came into how the league was set up and stuff, and making other teams professional, giving other teams more money, allowing them to be professional.
Yeah, rugby league was changed forever by his influence, and there's not a lot of people who can say that. So yeah, obviously sadly missed.
Yeah, obviously our condolences to his friends and his family. Rest in peace, Maurice. Right, people can get in touch with us. If you want to tell us your own memories of Maurice Lindsay, I'll leave that up on the news form, Google form, for the next week. But if you want to get in touch on social media, it's at Super League Pod on Twitter and Instagram, or facebook.com/SuperLeaguePod. You can email superleaguepod@gmail.com or visit superleaguepod.com to get the info on each episode and links to the Google Forms for your fan views so that we can share and discuss them on the show. And don't forget to subscribe in whatever podcast app you're listening to us on and leave a rating and a review if you can. That would be much appreciated. Right, let's go into the Super League match reviews. Super League match reviews, round 12. We started on Thursday night in what had been billed as a dress rehearsal for the Challenge Cup final, but I think with 7 or 8 changes from both sides, Wigan naming a couple of kids and Huddersfield rolling out the other senior, and me not realising that I was a different one at first. It wasn't quite that billing, was it? But Huddersfield won't care. They finished 32 points to 22 winners. It was 12-6 to the Giants at half-time. 4,962 were there. Tom Grant was the referee. In terms of the team stats, the incomplete stats with young debutant Matty Nicholson missed off the Super League website, so can't really make full comparisons, unfortunately, there. But do you want to take us through the individuals who stood out?
Yeah, for the winning Huddersfield side, Sam Hewitt with a try, 47 tackles, and 10 of which were for marker. That's good stuff. Ricky Latelli with a try assist, 9 tackle busts, 149 metres and 2 clean breaks. Joe Greenwood with 119 metres, and Lewis Senior, the other senior, with 3 tries, 115 metres and 4 clean breaks. For Wigan, Brad O'Neill had a try assist and 40 tackles with no misses. Abbas Miski had a try assist and 164 metres. Sam Halsall with 2 tries, 5 tackle busts, 112 metres and 2 clean breaks. And Cade Ellis with 102 metres.
Yeah, we'll start the fan views with Alan Walker. He said, "Kit clash karma or Panther on Panther crime. Good to see the Penrith stay over after playing the L's as Panthers A beat Panthers B in a sloppy captain's run before the big Storms game at the weekend. At least the Pink Panthers had more fans in the ground. They must live nearer or something. Surely Wigan's blue and white didn't clash with Claret and Amber, and it's not as if the fixture came as a surprise. Kit clash wankers." Yeah, I did wonder why Huddersfield were in their away kit and Wigan were in the third kit, but it's not the biggest issue.
Maybe, as much as they were rotating the squad, they were rotating the kits as well.
There you go.
Coming up, Roses says, solid performance from Huddersfield. Farge and Latelli are the standouts. I felt Wigan rested one too many first-team players. Add Cuss to the side, and we really could have pushed for the win. Nicholson, McDonald, and Halsall look really looking good prospects. Isa needed to perform tonight, and he really let us down. Looks like we'll be carrying him as dead wood for a further year.
Isa's a big part of the squad in lots of ways, I think, but his part isn't going to be in your first choice match day 17. He didn't show up well enough to stake that claim, really. So yeah, I agree with that Isa point. Lee Whitnell said, "Chin up, Mark. This result confirms you as the Challenge Cup winners. Congratulations." Why did I have to read that one out? I'm not claiming that, just so people know.
Yes, that was Lee Whitnell, just to be clear. That was Lee Whitnell. Mark W. says, not a game you can read into too much with so many rested, but a win's a win, and it was good to see some of the outsiders in our squad like Senior and Hewitt show up and get us over the line. Plus, we may finally have a consistent and capable spine, possibly for the first time since the Brough Robinson era.
Matt Speakman said, "What a weird flat game. Always going to be on the Thursday after the Saturday we had, particularly compared to Huddersfield, who had a relatively low intensity game. Heavy rotation for both teams, but backups mainly for Huddersfield and a few very young players for Wigan. I think the scoreline was a fair reflection of the game, but they really should have won by a lot more given the teams put onto the field. Win the final now."
And Bob the Viking says, Huddersfield the better side on the night.
And EFC78JU said, "It was not the same Wigan that gone into the semi-final tie at Ellen Road, as half of the youth players came into play and 2 of them had their debuts, but Nicholson was the one that got his brace on his first appearance for the Warriors, and Halsall also got 2, but was not good enough to bring Wigan back in the fixture. On to Hull FC to strike back and reclaim second once Catalan have lost to Hull KR." EFC, I know he's a Warrington fan, but he's a closet Wigan fan as well, isn't he? Giants should have been out of sight in the first half with the chances that they took and the ones that they bombed. I thought the first 20 minutes, like, they were good. Wigan was shite, and it really should have been like a blowout by half time. But Wigan scored the best try of the first half through Housel's first try, and I think